Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review.
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Across the streams of hopes and dreams where things are really not. Come along if you can. Come along if you dare.
Have a good one.
Take a ride to the
Cheers, guys.
inside of your mind. But please realize you'll probably be surprised.
They wanted to see something different, but something different saw them first. The hills have eyes.
Mister, don't take your family back in that area. The silver has been gone for 40 years now. Besides, there's nothing back in there but animals.
We're lost. The old creep told you not to get off the road.
What began as a vacation ended as a nightmare.
Be hell to pay now.
What the hell was that?
She thought she knew what the world was all about, but nothing prepared her for this. The hills have eyes.
Oh, you going with my baby?
Yeah, that way, Dick.
A mother fighting for her child loses it in the worst possible way.
I hit him with a tire iron and I split his face wide open. That was a bad mistake. I come back for you later, girlie. Why are you doing this?
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another horror movie review. This time we're going to be talking about the original 1977 Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
The story of an American family who lost everything except the will to survive. Murdered, raped, burned, but not beaten. The hills have eyes. The story of one family's refusal to die.
I'm gonna get those animals.
The hills have eyes. A night of terror, a day of vengeance where no one was spared. No one.
Kill the babe! Kill me!
They fought back. Anything was a weapon. The family dog to the family car.
It's working!
The Hills Have Eyes. The most shocking, terrifying film you will ever see, by Wes Craven, writer and director of The Last House on the Left. The hills have eyes. The lucky ones died first.
So directed by Wes Craven, also written by Wes Craven. Maybe not as talked about as some of his later films, like of course Nightmare on Elm Street, as well as Scream, but one that's been regarded as a horror cult classic nonetheless. Came out in 1977, so this is just a year before Halloween. This was just 3 years after the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And, it's something you should compare to right off the bat because, it does have, similarities to it, cannibal family, stranded family, or stranded people, and, it's not a ripoff, they openly said, it was a big inspiration for them, and it's almost like a homage, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, is this better than the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Well, it's actually kind of debatable for me because, excuse me, because the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't necessarily my favorite chainsaw movie. But comparing it to Hills Have Eyes, I don't know, I feel like I have to watch Hills Have Eyes again before I really make a snap judgment like that. But did I like Hills Have Eyes? Yeah, I did. Now, it's been between watching this and The Descent, which I'm gonna probably end up watching in the next week or two, I'd imagine. I'm probably gonna check out part 2 of this, then, the remake eventually, and, so on and so forth. But, this film isn't perfect, it definitely has its flaws, has some weaknesses. It's a pretty simple, pretty simple story. I already just described it. But you have Dee Wallace. She's probably the biggest name of like the regular characters in this movie. Then you have Susan Lanier, as well as John Stedman and Robert Houston as Bobby, who really kind of becomes our sort of main protagonist in the movie. The film basically centers around them. Somewhere near the Nellis Air Force Base, a rundown gas station in the desert of Nevada. They basically end up going off the path, getting a little bit lost, and then they separate, looking for civilization or help or something like that. And of course, they end up getting extremely disturbed by this, cannibal family in the hills and the mountain type areas and stuff like that. One of which, who we see all over the promotional material, is Michael Berryman's Pluto. And I actually really liked him. I actually wanted, more Pluto in the movie. I'm going to a horror convention in August, Flashback again this year, and he's actually going to be there, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to that now, as well as a ton of other celebrity guests there. But yeah, Michael Berryman's Pluto, he definitely had the most personality out of the group, I want to say. I think he did a pretty good job there. But as far as like the, let's see, just want to check on this real quick. Just want to get the names right of the other cannibals here. Let's see. Yeah, I think his name is Mars, but like the big one, sort of like the scruff, beard kind of thing, the main one that breaks into the RV with Pluto. Anyway, he was actually kind of, creepy and intense himself. He was one that kind of carried more like the action-y parts of it, I guess. He was kind of the most menacing one, I feel like, but like I said, Michael Berryman's, I think Pluto did have the most personality out of him. But yeah. So there's some pretty good performances for the kind of characters or threats they're playing. But I feel like the cannibals themselves, the family, they also have this girl with them named Ruby, who's a little bit not so sure of their ways anymore. But I feel like their story, the family, was a little bit underdeveloped. I feel like some people actually kind of welcome that. They don't want to know everything, and that's fine. But I feel like there's more they could have shown here with them. So I guess that's one thing about it. But one problem it doesn't have is its runtime. It's only 89 minutes. Apparently not even an hour and a half. It's just under. So it moves along at a pretty good pace, I want to say, but it is a 70s horror film, and I know some people, they'll watch a movie like this, and they'll find it boring, they'll find it dull. And for me, it was a tad bit once in a while. I felt like there were some shots that sort of dragged on a bit too long, or, scenes that dragged on a bit too long, I should say. But, this film that Wes Craven created, he also wrote it. I don't know if I mentioned that, but anyway, I might have. But he created a, pretty eerie type of atmosphere here. It really felt like they're on their own, especially at night. I think the best scene in the whole movie is the RV scene where they Pluto and why am I forgetting his name again? Mars, yeah, where Pluto and Mars do take the baby. Now I see there's a version of this where apparently originally they were thinking about killing off the baby somehow, actually having the cannibals eat it or whatever. You know, I'm not sure how much of that they would have shown. But apparently, according to IMDb anyway, the actors said they would have walked off set if they actually went that direction in the story. But nonetheless, it's still probably the most intense scene in the movie, and there, like I said, there is a pretty good tone and sort of atmosphere to go along with it. But, you know, I feel like it wasn't executed maybe as well as it could have been. You know, but like I said, a lot of these 70s horror movies, they're a little bit different than what people are used to nowadays. And, you know, if I was a little bit more tired than I was, I might have had some trouble with it. Because it takes its time, you know, it builds up a lot, and that, you know, it's probably due to budget constraints and other things like that. But nonetheless, it's one I'm glad I finally watched. I'm curious to watch part 2, although I've heard awful things about it. I've heard some decent things about the remakes, the remake films, though, so we'll check those out at some point, I'm sure. But, you know, again, Pluto, you know, Michael Berryman, you know, he's very sort of distinguishable. You know, he does have a real-life condition that changed, you know, certain, like, bone structure with him, and, you know, his nails, and he doesn't have sweat glands, but yet he is still working 100-plus degree weather in the desert here on location. You know, so there's memorable things about it, for sure. It's definitely not Wes Craven's best film. I haven't really seen much of Scream in a while, and I personally am not that big on the Scream films. But it's not like the level of A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a very different film form than what people usually talk about him with regards to. But I would say it's a pretty passable, pretty decent, and even sometimes pretty good flick. You know, you can turn on for an hour and a half and not really have a whole lot of trouble with it if you appreciate, you know, some older horror movies. Although when I say older horror movies, I know people think, oh, you think that's old, you need to see the classics from like the 30s and 40s. I don't mean that, but yeah, I still thought this was pretty good. You know, I don't think it was great, but I think it was good, or, you know, pretty decent, which is why I'm giving this, and you know, before I give the rating, you know, for its time, it really stuck out, you know, because like I said, this is before Halloween, this is before Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, just a little bit after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So a lot of things they did here, you know, with the cannibals, with the baby and such, you know, distress, and there's the scene where Pluto, you know, sort of starts, you know, molesting this, you know, one of the women in the trailer, in the RV. You know, it's still pretty, you know, disturbing. You know, I'm sure if I watched this back then, you know, and hadn't seen everything I have, it probably would have been even more effective, or I'm sure it was at the time. So I'm giving this movie about a C+, B-. Like I said, nothing, I wouldn't say great, not mind-blowing, but, yeah, I still appreciate it. I still do like it. I feel like I kind of want to watch it again, too, and I'm curious to see how it compares to the remake. Yeah, I like the dogs in this movie too. There's actually one named Beast that takes on a prominent role, and it's nice to see a dog not just get killed off and used as like a horror cliche and stuff, so I like that. There's more than one dog though, but still. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the original, and without spoilers, how do you think it compares to the remake? You know, who is your favorite cannibal? So yeah. Oh, and also, if anyone else has seen more of Michael Berryman, I keep butchering his name, but if anyone else has seen more of Michael Berryman's work, recommend me some movies of his, you know, because I want to see more of this guy. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'll catch you guys next time. Like, subscribe, and peace.